Great morning, amazing learners. You're welcome to today's section of our online class on civic education. Today we'll be looking at another topic under national symbols and their meanings. We'll be looking at the national pledge and the national anthem. In our previous class, when I introduced the topic national symbols and their meanings, we talked about the national currency, we talked about the national flag, the national coat of arms. So these are examples of the national symbols, and we also discussed their meanings where we talked about who designed the national flag, the coat of arms, what every symbol there signifies, and we also talked about the Nigerian currency and their denominations. So today we'll be looking at the national pledge and the national anthem. Let's take a look at the national pledge. Now, I know every one of us recites the national pledge on the assembly ground every day. We'll now look at who wrote the national pledge, and we'll also look at more information about it and what the national pledge means. Alright, the national pledge is a solemn promise of faithfulness, honesty, loyalty, commitment and dedication made by citizens of Nigeria each time it is recited. So I want you to understand that whenever you're reciting the national pledge, it means you're giving your promise to Nigeria to make sure you do your right, you carry out your duties as a citizen. You're placing your loyalty to the country to tell them, yes, I will obey the rules and regulations of the country. So whenever it's being recited, it means you're giving your promise of faithfulness, honesty, loyalty, commitment and dedication. And the Nigerian pledge was written by Professor Mrs. Adebola Adedoyin. I want you to take note of it. It was written by Professor Mrs. Adebola Adedoyin in the year 1976. So the national pledge is very inspiring and must be reflected in our everyday lives. It is important to know that whenever you're reciting the national pledge, you recite it with all seriousness because it is inspiring. And one thing you should know is that the national pledge must always reflect in your everyday life, in your day-to-day activities. Now let's take a look at the national pledge. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend her unity and uphold her honor and glory. So help me God. So it is like a prayer and also a promise to Nigeria to serve Nigeria with all your strength, to defend her unity and uphold her honor and glory. And we're telling God to help us achieve all this. Alright, so let's look at the national anthem. Now the national anthem, we recite it every day on the assembly ground. Now most times, even if you watch Nigerian footballers, before they can start playing, they recite their anthems. Nigerians recite their own anthems. You watch them, they recite it. Even in political gatherings, they recite the national anthem because it is our own national symbol. It is a way of identifying our country. Now, it is important to know that every country has their national anthem. No country sings the national anthem of the other country. So as you are in Nigeria, Nigerians have their national anthem, which every one of us is aware of, and we recite it every day. Now let's look at what the national anthem is all about. The national anthem is a song that reminds Nigerians of their duties to their fatherland. The national anthem reminds us of the things we are expected to do, our obligations, our duties as citizens of this country, the things that we're supposed to do to make the country a better place. The national anthem reminds us of those things, and it also instills the spirit of patriotism and national consciousness. If you can remember when we discussed the topic national consciousness, I told us that national consciousness, it's kind of awareness, mental awareness of what is happening in our environment and what is happening in our country at large. I also said national consciousness is also the love one has for his or her country. So the national anthem also puts in the spirit of national consciousness in us to show us how much we should love our country. No matter what is going on, we should always love our country and stand to fight for our fatherland. Now, the national anthem was written by Professor Akin Ebwa and was composed by the Nigerian Police Band under the directorship of Benedict Elise Odiase. So take note of this. It was written by Professor Akin Ebua and was composed by the Nigerian Police Band under the directorship of Benedict Elise Odiase. So this is how the national anthem came about. Someone wrote it, and then the sweet melody we sing with it was composed by the Nigerian Police Band under the directorship of Benedict Elise Odiase. Now, the national anthem was adopted in the year 1978, and it is the national song of the country, as we all know. So whenever you're reciting the national anthem, it's important that you stand attention, not action. Alright, so when you're singing the national anthem, it is required that you stand attention. You don't shake or try to touch your neighbor's shoulder or try to do something else. Whenever the national anthem is going on, be it in a national occasion or in any occasion you find yourself, it is required that you stand on your feet as a respect to your nation. Alright, so we'll be looking at the national anthem proper. Now, I want you to note that the first stanza of the national anthem is a call to service, of your fatherland, a call to your showing your promise on what you're supposed to do, a call to tell you these are the things you're supposed to do in your country, these are the things you're not supposed to do. It is a call for us to join our hands together to make our country a better place. And then the second stanza is a prayer to God to help us live in unity, to help us carry out our duties as Nigerians. Well, it's a call is a prayer to God to also guide our leaders, help them lead us right. It's also a prayer for the youth to carry out their duties very well. Alright, we'll be looking at the national anthem, and I want wherever you are, you stand up as we recite it together. We're not going to sing it the way it was composed. We'll recite it line by line. Alright, so let's go. Arise, O compatriots, Nigerians call obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain, to serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and live in just and truth, great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Alright, so this is the national anthem. Now, before I forget, I want to also tell you that this anthem came after the first national anthem we had in Nigeria. Before this national anthem was adopted in the year 1978, we had the national anthem that was composed by a non-Nigerian. She composed it, Nigeria we hail thee, our own dear native land, though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians are called to serve our sovereign motherland. Now, the reason why this first national anthem was not accepted, because there was no call to service. It was not calling Nigerians to serve their country with all their heart. It was not calling Nigerians to put in their best to make the country a better place. So it was not adopted, in as much as at some point they were singing it. But when Professor Akin Ebua composed this present national anthem, it was adopted because it had a call to service, like I mentioned earlier, and it also had a prayer to God to help us build the country to become a better place. Now we've come to the end of today's lesson. Before I wrap up, I want us to go through the lesson again. The topic we have is national symbols and their meaning, and today we're looking at the national pledge and the national anthem. Now I want us to remember I said the national pledge is a solemn promise of faithfulness, honesty, loyalty, commitment, and dedication made by citizens of Nigeria each time it is recited. So whenever the national anthem is being recited, you know that you're making a promise to your country. And that is why when the national pledge is being recited, you put your hands on your chest to show that yes, you're showing loyalty, commitment, honesty, and dedication to the country. Also, remember that it was written by Professor Mrs. Adebola Adedoyin in the year 1976. Then, let's also look at the national anthem. I told us it's a song that reminds the Nigerians of their duties to their fatherland. It instills the spirit of patriotism. That means it instills the spirit of standing by your country, come rain, come sun. Not when others are talking bad about the country, you follow them to talk about it. It's puts in the spirit of you saying good things about your country, not even leaving the country when things are bad or when things go haywire. Alright, so we've also looked at the national anthem proper. The first stanza I said is a call to service, and the second stanza is a prayer to God. Now we've come to the end of today's lesson. I hope you all had fun. I hope you've learned the national anthem. Alright, so by the time we return back to school next week, we return back to school on Tuesday, sorry. Do well to write down your questions and I'll always be there to answer you. Alright, have a nice day.